everyone, it's Gabriella. My hair's a mess and I'm having technical difficulties, so I'm just going to show this side. I've been watching YouTube videos and doing some other productive stuff all day, but it's 8:44 p.m. on Sunday night and I'm going to finally start Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, as you've guessed by the title of this video, and it's a weird place that I paused. So I'll update you guys once I finish this video and read at least 100 pages of Chain of Gold, or at least up until somewhere I think is worthy of talking about, or if I have a huge reaction. Okay, so update, I'm about 150 pages of the way through, and I really just want to keep reading, but it's pretty late. I need to start to try and get my circadian rhythms back on point, because one of my classes will pretty soon be held online, which is good, I guess, but now I have to, my sleeping schedule is non-existent, so I want to keep reading. I'm really enjoying it so far. The thing is, Cassandra Clare's books, there's a big emphasis on romance in her books. I mean, PG-13 romance, but still. And I love it. Her books are so angsty. I love angst. I don't know. Angst is different than just drama. Angst is, anguish, just being kept apart. There's a lot of, it's not super high angst, but I feel like in her first books, the level of angst is just being built, but it's good. I'm really enjoying all the characters so far. I really love Cordelia. I think this maybe we'll see. My favorite Shadowhunter book is Lady Midnight, and my favorite trilogy is The Dark Artifices, and this could be up there or even surpass it if all goes well. I think of the four main ladies, I don't know Cordelia enough, but I like her. I don't love Clary. Tessa's okay, meh to me. Emma is cool, but she's not my favorite. And Cordelia, the spot is open, and all Cordelia has to do is it's there for the taking, And James, James. I like James, but Jamesy boy. When you're reading a great book and you're having such a fun time reading, that as you're reading, you're like, man, I'm really enjoying it while reading, and I'm just reveling in this book. I have a lot to go, but even then I'm thinking, oh my, what am I going to read after this? But obviously I predict it to be 5 stars. Okay, that's my update for now. I might keep reading, I don't know. If I've been really quiet, it's late at night and you can hear everything through my wall, so I'm in my bathroom right now. Ignore my dirty mirror. Okay. Something funny happens. There's like a funny reference to the Cruel Prince series in this book. Wow, ASMR. The blessings. So, if you don't know, Holly Black and Cassandra Clare are like best friends. And in this book, Lucy is a writer and she writes stories. And when she's growing up in her stories, she always writes about her being a princess and James being like this horrible, cruel prince. So whenever they're talking about that, they'll be like, Cruel Prince James. And I'm like, wow, the Easter eggs, love to see it. Also, Grace can choke because I already know. I think I know what Cassandra Clare. I'm picking up what Cassandra Clare is putting down, and I understand Grace and what she's been through and whatever. But because we're reading from Cordelia's point of view, and we've gotten to know Cordelia more. Obviously, we care more about her, so we should, at least, based on the way the book is being told. And we're more invested in Cordelia's story. So obviously, I'm thinking, Grace, like, you're not evil, I don't think, but... And James. James. My sweet summer child. I have since finished Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I stayed up till 7:30 a.m. reading. When I went to bed, I had 150 pages left. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to just read as soon as I woke up, I woke up at 4 p.m. And I had to help out my mother with some online work stuff because she's technologically challenged. So but anyways, I have since finished Chain of Gold. It was so good. 5 out of 5 stars. Not at all surprising. And I've spent the past 2 hours just watching Chain of Gold related content on YouTube. Watch a lot of reading vlogs, a lot of reviews, and then also spent a lot of time just scrolling through Tumblr, Chain of Gold related. James and Cordelia. I suspected it to happen, but I'm totally in a book hangover. I don't know how I'm supposed to it was so good. I don't know how I'm supposed to just pick up another book and read like nothing. And the thing is, for me to stay up reading or just to read so much in a day, I read 450 pages in one day. It's hard for me to read continuously for hours and hours on end, just because I get distracted or I get fatigued, or I just feel like, okay, I want to break. I'm enjoying whatever book I'm reading, but I need a break. And that didn't happen at all. I kept saying, okay, one more chapter. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to stop lying to myself. I know it's not going to be one more chapter. I'm just going to read. Very rare that I have that experience with books. Sometimes I'll stay up reading really late. And that really only happens when I read some romance novels on the ebook or whatever. Or if I'm reading weird fan fiction, which is another story altogether. But yeah, and probably the last time I just absorbed something and read so much in a short period of time and so quickly, it's probably Queen of Gold. Usually, like, the last quarter of a book, I'll read that very quickly because that's usually when things start to come into fruition and major plot points are coming together. But to be reading as much as I was continuously, like, just doing nothing for hours and hours, but reading with no breaks, not even to check my phone or go online, probably the last time was Queen of Nothing. Her romantic angst is chef's kiss. I feel like I'm saying chef. It's chef. I was saying chef. I'm sorry, I'm just really going through it after having finished. And I knew that this was gonna be, and I can't even talk. I knew it was gonna end in a kind of angsty place. That's not a spoiler, because all her first book in series end in an angsty romantic place. Thinking back to Lady Midnight, my favorite Cassie Clare book, which ends the romantic angst cliffhanger in that is also even City of Bones, her very, very first book. And I try to look up fan fiction. Not a lot of it. But I just want to reread it already. Okay, I admit, there's a clip that you probably just saw of me freaking out, and that's because I was reading the kiss scene. in this, and I'll admit I have reread that scene. The scene in the whispering room. I've read that at least, I'm not gonna say for my own dignity, but I've reread it several times. Cassie Clare has gotten to a point with her writing after writing 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 books in this world. She's gotten very good at creating these complex and thorough and messy and real, genuine characters. So the plot isn't as... I think Lady Midnight is still my favorite just because I'm just gonna touch her because I love her. Ooh, sounds weird, but what if I just reread Lady Midnight? Honestly, I've been thinking about rereading because this is one of my all-time favorite books. But anyways, Lady Midnight, the central plot in this is basically a murder mystery and trying to solve a series of murders. So I love stories that have a murder mystery aspect to them, especially when it's genre bending. Murder mysteries just in a fantasy genre are my favorite. I love that. Love that. There is a life or death urgency. Not that there isn't life or death urgency in this. There is, but you want to stop a killer, and a killer could be among you, and you're looking for clues, and there is a mystery. There's always like something that you have to try and figure out in Cassandra Clare's books, but it's not as the pace is not as fast moving as I found this was. That's also why this is my favorite book in the Dark Art in the trilogy it's in, because that aspect of it. And once you do solve the murder mystery, and then the following books, while I love them, and there is a lot of other intrigue and other things like that, they don't have that thematic point to evenly and perfectly move the story along. And so the plot in this is, yes, there's urgency, there are people in danger, but it's the plot and it's more characters. And Lady Midnight still is a very character heavy type of story, but the plot is stronger, I think, compared to the plot in this, even though I don't even care. I do sometimes get bored if there's not a plot, but I love these characters, and I think her strengths and the things that people love most about Cassandra Clare's books are not her plots. They're the characters, the relationships, the romantic relationships, familial friendships, those sorts of things, and the character dynamics between each other and their interactions. That's why people love her book so much. I'm not saying that the plot in this is crap. I don't think it is. It's just I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out where it ranks, and it doesn't compare to Lady Midnight's plot. But the feeling I get while reading this book is Lady Midnight levels, though. I'm just saying objectively, the plot is not as strong as that one. And the reveal, I think it's because the reader knows more than some of the characters in certain aspects, because we're getting third eye view of all several different point of views, so we can put all the pieces together, whereas the characters, they can't connect shit.
I've connected the two dots.
You didn't connect shit, but
I've connected them.
Yeah. So I rate books based on my feelings, not always objectively or critically. If I feel just this immense love for the character, for the story, for what I'm reading, if I'm having so much fun when I'm reading, then I'm gonna give that 5 stars. If I just never want to put the book down and I'm so excited to constantly keep reading, and just this like feeling in your stomach that's like, oh, I love what I'm experiencing, even if some of it is sad or that, or it's just, I'll give a book 5 stars. Even there's books that I've given 5 stars, which, like, objectively, it's not a writing masterpiece compared to some other books that probably some could say are, and I've given lesser ratings. But I'm giving it based on the emotions that it gives me. And while there are books that I think are writing masterpieces that do give me those feelings, it isn't always that way. So, I mean, not to say that I don't think Cassie Clare's books are masterpieces. You know what I mean. I'm going on and on. Do I want to read romance? Maybe a romance. Because I think romance has always, for me, been something that gets me out of a slump or a reading hangover or What if I reread Chain of Gold? No, what if I reread Lady Midnight? I just miss them. I miss my babies.